what does home education or homeschooling or educating at home even mean? Because we, especially as mamas, we're constantly teaching, do this, don't do that. That's not how the dishwasher's loaded. Don't put the reds with the whites. Like, we're constantly teaching things. But home education makes us panic. We're all like, no, no, no. Math, science, English, and history, all the things. But what we get to do is use math, science, English, and history to teach character, to teach responsibility, to teach accountability, right? To teach time management. Because yes, we're gonna wash the dishes and do math today. So you get to decide if you're finished by 10 or 2, right? We have those opportunities. So thank you. As we learn how to be with our kids all the time, if we're going to be new to homeschooling, we have to learn how to be there. When we pulled the kids, they had both. I was so excited to take both of them to school and have my day, and the Lord's like, no, okay. And so I had to relearn how to be around my oldest daughter all day, every day, and 6th grade wasn't terrible. 8th grade, I was questioning things. 10th grade, I knew why we pulled her. 12th grade, I helped her pack. Bless her. I love her. She was headed to Southeastern, and we were happy for her. We just butted heads. But what we learned, we had lots of good days. She did theater. I learned it wasn't called halftime. It was called intermission because I'm a sports mom. Like we came and we got to do so much together. We got to take her through Chef Beta Club. We got to go to nationals, and she was the only one that won to go. So her dad and I were the ones that took her. And we had an amazing weekend that school didn't take her because we don't have one, so like the opportunities that I learned just with her. And then Harrison went 1st grade through 12th grade. He's graduated. So that I want you to see the joy, but it's not easy. So when you get to the not easy, you're not like doing something wrong. No, that's just a Tuesday. And that's okay, because there's no one else on this planet that's going to love your children like you do. There's no system that wants them to succeed more than you do. Okay. So I don't know what your why is, but I need you to know what your why is. Maybe your why is because they didn't fit in. Maybe it's because the Lord spoke to you on a Sunday morning and you wept and realized you had to surrender your children and your life to Him in a way that you've not done before. That was me. I prayed for 6 months to change my husband's heart because he said we needed a homeschool. And I was like, we not going to be home all day. And so like I really had to shift some of those wee gears. And so, so the Lord absolutely called us 14 years ago. And at that time, I would say, oh, no, whatever the Lord's called you to do. No, schools are fine. We just got called home. I don't actually say that anymore. I encourage families to dig deep and make the sacrifices needed to keep their children, because nobody out there wants them to love the Lord. They don't even want them to critically think anymore. I mean, it's rough. And so my mom's twitching somewhere right now as a public school teacher. And so, principal. So in the beginning, we're young. I'm trying to public school at home. Just had a baby, and my superintendent mother is calling every day. How are they doing? What are they learning? Quizzing them when we go visit. I'm like, I don't even know what you're quizzing them on. I don't have that book. Like, I'm Googling the Department of Education. What would they learn had I sent them? All these things, And then fast forward 4 years in, my mom's talking to my sister about pulling her kids because of the growth. And not because they all of a sudden learned when, the United States became the United States. It was because of the character, because of the interaction with adults. Think about it. We teach them to shake hands and look at their eyes and have a conversation. We don't teach them to be quiet, get in the line, and don't look at me until you're called on, And so the opportunities that our children are going to have because they're with us, and maybe that teaching is how to ask forgiveness because we didn't handle something well. What a lesson. I've had to go to my kids a lot and be like, okay, I'm so sorry. Let's regroup. Let's start together. Let's redeem the day. My kids know exactly what that word means. We redeem the day at 2:00 a lot if we need to. Some days are better than others. Okay, but the practical ways of registering with our state. Okay, there's 2 ways. One is called Home Study. It is the Louisiana Department of Education is the website. One is called Home Study. I don't recommend that one until they're a freshman or sophomore in high school. That one requires a state test for you to renew. The reason I recommend a freshman or sophomore is because our job is to prepare them for the next level. Now, if you know for sure they're not going to college, that's up to you. I always told my kids, I'm going to prepare you to go to college, and then you get to decide. But if I don't prepare you to go to college and you decide to go, then we're in trouble. So I prepare them by making them take the ACT as a freshman, registering them as home study. I just need you to take the test, get familiar with it, learn how to sit in a quiet room. So we had 5 kids. Nothing was quiet, right? And so, and then the next year we took it again. The state didn't care that they made a 15. They just needed a test. So I turned it in, we renewed, we did it again the next year. Now I noticed, okay, we might need to work on reading faster if we're going to do a little bit better in the reading session. Well, I've got 3 more years to teach that because we did it as a freshman. Sophomore, same thing. Just learn how to be dropped off, remember how to fill in the Scantron, sit in the room. By their junior year, they're comfortable. They're like, oh, I know I go to Denham. My kids went to Denham High School. They knew where to walk. They knew how to sit in the room. They knew what the snack machine had. They were ready for the ACT system, if you will. And that level of comfort allowed them to score even better because there was no pressure. Because I do test, not a lot. And some people do a lot and some people don't do it all. But ACT is a test. So I feel like they need some exposure there. Prior to their high school years, it's called not seeking state approval. So when I registered my littles, as I call them, who are currently going into 6th, 5th, what are the grades? 7th, 5th, we make it up. 7th, 5th, and 3rd is what I let them tell people this year. As they're going into those grades, I registered them as not seeking state approval. Now, I did them as not seeking state approval and my high schooler as home study. I registered both ways. I don't need them to take tests yet. I'm not trying to go find. Now there's a California achievement test you can do online. I've done that a few years because I wanted to see where the holes were. That is an online test. You can do it timed or untimed. They send you the results and you're like, oh, maybe it's time to start teaching history. Got it. So if you want to self-check, I did that early. I don't do that anymore. But if you're getting started and you want that double check, California achievement test is a good one. Because it's at your pace and online and you administer that. There's others out there. If you need those, we can look them up. Homeschooling is not University View Academy. That's UVA. That is a public school online. That is not the same thing. I'm not saying it's terrible. My nieces did fantastic, thrived on it. They did their school at home through UVA. One of them graduated with her associates. One of them graduated with honors. I'm not knocking it. It's just not homeschool. Okay. K-12, also a public school at home curriculum. 2 things about those. One, if the state issues you a diploma, then you're not registered as a homeschooler. And you also can't be a part of chef athletics. Now we will take you in all of the other ways, but our athletics specifically is, we are in a ASOL association, and that association defines homeschooling as we do, and therefore our homeschool students can play. If you find another online curriculum that issues the diploma to you when your kids are done, and I'm not saying like a math course that grades your stuff. I'm talking they teach all the things and then they give you a diploma, then you are schooling your kids at home. And that's fine. It's just not homeschool. Who can homeschool? All of you can. Anybody with kids. And I truly believe that. Can it be harder for some than others? Absolutely. But it's so worth it. And then why should you homeschool? Kind of like I said, because they're out. God gave them to us. God blessed us with these children. 4 more than I wanted, I thought, but now I can't imagine not having 5 kids, And so if God's going to entrust us to grow them, then he as Deuteronomy says, gave them to us for all the knowledge, right? And it can be done. When do you start? I used to joke, again, I came in this midway with my oldest, and I'll be like, okay, I got it. These next ones, you teach them to read, and I'll take it from there. Because you can't mess them up too bad in kindergarten, right? My youngest will never go. He will never see a school, Lord willing. And we're one income family, so bless something happens to my husband, I'd have to do something different, right? But we've made the sacrifices for 14 years and have seen the benefits. We don't get to go and do as much because we could be a 2-income family, but we're not. My job is to be the head of the household and hold it together. Some days are better than others. And his job is to be the head of household and help me make that happen. And it took us a few years to put all those roles into place, but I cannot imagine doing it different. Resources. Anybody feeling overwhelmed with all the options, right? Where you're like, oh, have mercy. Do I buy everything from Rebecca? Or do I buy this one, this one, this one, this one, this one? Or do I go to a co-op? Do I not? It's a buffet and we all get to pick. But when you've never been to the buffet, you're like, I don't know what to get, right? You're going to pick something you don't like, probably. And guess what? That's okay. And you have the opportunity to have those conversations with your kids and be like, well, why doesn't this work? Because if they're never going to like math, or you really picked the wrong curriculum, or is the subject just never going to win, right? Or is this really just a not fit? Some maths, for example, are spiral. They teach a lesson in review, teach a new one in review. I love Saxon. If your kid's going to college, I'm telling you, that's a good one. But it does not fit every kid. Some kids need to beat a topic to death for it to set in. They need to know everything they can even possibly know about a triangle before you move on to something else. That's a different kind of curriculum. So as you're learning those, you may find some. In the last session, one of the questions was, how long do you have a curriculum before you shift gears, right? I've done them as long as 6 months, like a whole semester. Like, give it a semester and let's see if we can find our way with it. And by Christmas, all of us were going back to my husband going, we cannot do this one anymore. I will shift mid-year. I'm a planner. I like to plan. So summer's my thing. You know, we're going to start in August. We're going to finish in May. We have 4 weeks at Christmas. And by about October, I'm like, are we done yet? I knew going in I needed the accountability. So I found a co-op. And while the co-op doesn't teach my kids, when the co-op is in action, it helps my week be a normal week of school, right? And so I know we have co-op on Tuesday. So Monday might get away from me. Tuesday's co-op. By Wednesday, we've hit the ground running and we're doing the things, right? So find your way. We can ensure that our kids get a Christian worldview education. We can read through the different histories. We can read through the different sciences. And my kids will learn about evolution, but they're going to learn it from me. And my kids are going to learn about the Pilgrims, but they're going to learn about the Puritans as well, right? We're going to be able to pick the parts and not sugarcoat it, just give them that information from a Christian worldview. And then when they go out and hear about Darwin, they're like, oh yeah, I know him. But it's not some stigma. It's not, we even read Shakespeare. Not all of it, but I don't want them to go out and not know things. I want them to know why we even offer those things. They can go at their own pace. I've got one that loves math. He would do math all day if I never brought an English book out. No grammar. And I'm like, buddy, you can't spell to save your life. So, he's still doing spelling books in middle school because that's what he needs. Don't tell him other middle schoolers don't do that. So we all have spelling books still because that's not my strong suit or theirs, And when school is done by 11:30, some of us coming out of public school are like, wait a minute, I did something wrong. No, it just doesn't take that long. Guess what? This afternoon, y'all are while you're getting out lunch, I'm going to rotate the laundry, and then afterwards, they're going to be bored. Great. Let them. If the first couple of times, they're going to drive you nuts. I'm bored. You know what my kids get? They don't tell me they're bored anymore because my response is, "Ooh, I have a lot of things to do." But it's the dishes and the laundry and the chickens and I have things. So they don't come and tell me they're bored because I mean, we can clean the bathroom, we can clean. There's lots of projects, but that free time and creativity to let our kids be kids, even if they're in middle school and even if they're in high school, they need that breath of fresh air, free time. Let them be kids for as long as they can because before you know it, they're getting jobs, they're getting married, they're moving out. It's so sad. Sorry. Okay. So I don't know. All right. This is what the department. I don't have a slideshow of the year. This is the Louisiana Department of Education. It breaks down all the two different options, but I summarized that for you. Not seeking state approval is I have 3 kids in not seeking state approval. I would like to renew that this year. 3 kids not seeking state approval. Louisiana is great in that way. And then, but for the home study program, if your kids are getting older or in high school or you just want to look ahead, they have the TOPS requirements. And the reason I followed it is because I do want my kids to be educated. I want them to learn. I want them to know the Lord. I want them to have free time. I want them to be kids. I also want them to know math, science, English, and history. And so I went here and I pulled up what do they need to graduate if they want TOPS. And then I make that happen. Do I quiz them on all of the history facts? No. Do I quiz them on math? Yes. So you'll find your way there. But I want them to go through. So it's 4 Englishes, 4 sciences, 4 maths. History's got some options, including civics, Team Pact. I don't know if y'all are in the general session. She runs Team Pact. They have an amazing civics program. It's 1 week. We did the 1-day one with my son who's 12. And we weren't leaving the room before he was like, sign me up for the next one. He loved it. It's a government. Some of my kids would be like, no, thank you. But you never know. So I would expose them to Team Pact and let them decide. If you do the full week, it's a half civic credit. So 2 years in a row, that's a full civics you didn't have to teach. And it's a Christian worldview and an amazing organization. Yes.
I know how to do the non-seeking state approval, but do I need to call my daughter's school and be like, look, she's not coming back?
They do need to know. Yeah, and ask them. Now, they may give you grief. Okay.
I'm expecting the question.
So years ago when I did Central, they wanted me to provide a letter. I can write you one, but there's not a state letter that you have to send. Now, Homeschool Louisiana, say that. Yeah, Homeschool Louisiana. I've sounded backwards when I said it. On their website, they give you a template for a letter. If they feel the need, they have to have a registered letter. Now, Denham, I had one in kindergarten because at that point, I had a senior and a kindergartner, and I was like, I can graduate one or teach one to read, but I'm not good enough to do both. So we sent him to kindergarten while I was, and this was pre-COVID even. And so when I pulled them, I was that mom. I knew the principal by that point, and she finally called and was like, please send me an email so I can take them off the roster. And so maybe it's as simple as an email, but they do need to know because they answer to the state. That's a great question. We've already done that one.
Are you sending that email to the actual school or the school board? Because with Central, we went to drop off the letter because I believe they do need a letter. We went to drop the letter off at the school board, and they mentioned to wait until school starts.
Okay.
And bring it to the actual school.
I submitted mine to Central Middle, but that was.
So go up there or we.
I did. That was 100 years ago. My oldest was Central.
It's typically done at the school.
I thought so.
The school controls records, and
Yes.
they just submit the records to the Department of Education.
To the school
You
board.
can have all the faith in the Department of Education if you want, but they're bureaucrats. The schools hold the records, and they just submit them, and the bureaucrats just file them away.
And I print a letter from you said Louisiana Homeschool?
They have a template, but you can. Is that what y'all use? Yeah.
I kind of use the template.
I think you could do.
They're trying to have one for elementary style, one
Okay.
for middle school, one for high school, kind of different types of wording. They're all kind of generally the same.
Okay.
whenever I pulled mine, because mine was in Livingston.
Okay.
But I had one at like South Fork, one at Walker Junior,
Yeah.
Walker Senior.
Mine's at South Fork.
So that's what I just
So they
sent
did
it
want a letter?
to the front office, the guidance counselor, and the principal was all CC'd in the same email.
Okay.
So they all got it because the principal needs it for her books, but the secretary and the guidance counselor are the ones that give you your transcripts.
Okay.
But I emailed mine for them. Walker High was the only one that gave me grief. And it took me from the last day of school till the first week of school. So the whole summer, every day I was emailing, I was calling, everything to finally get transcripts from Walker High for my oldest.
Yeah. For high school, you will. For anything less than high school,
Yeah.
it won't matter. Whatever their grades were won't matter. Whatever the classes I mean, it matters to you. But if they don't send you records, it doesn't. It won't affect their future. I'll put it that way.
So we don't need
It's just like
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm. Not for anything less than high school. And the reason you need it for high school is still for your own transcripts,
Right.
but you're going to have to put that together and maybe prove that no, I did finish them out as homeschoolers. So I would immediately register them as home study if I'm withdrawing a high school student.
And
For
that's
sure.
not really necessary until high school.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. No testing needed. You just say, nope, I'm still schooling them every year. And you can do them separate. So if you have multiple age groups, you can don't have to register them all the same. Okay, summer, absolutely a great transition time, right? Mid-year is another transition time, but you can pull them any day of the week. If you're like, I just am not sure, because I don't know where all of your journeys are, but it obviously, if you could start the year or even transition over a break, it's a little easier for the kids, but they adjust way faster than we do. They're like, woohoo, I can sleep till when? And I don't know what your rules will be, but maybe your kids are more. I had one that just woke up so slow. I just dealt with the other ones until he was ready, because if he wasn't ready, then we were both mad. And so but my other ones woke up like they were missing out on life. So that was trying to find the coffee and catch up with them. And then about lunchtime, my teenager would roll in and he had the same amount of work, but when he decided he was ready to get a job and go work, I said, you can, if math, science, English, and history is all done, then I can let you get the job. And if you keep your grades up, because we do a co-op that does grades, then you can keep your job. And that was his motivation for shifting his gears. But until then, we did all the things, but I did it on his schedule with accountability. So you have that flexibility to learn your kids, which is amazing. The first time you register, I do believe, do you need birth certificates? I haven't registered a first one in so long. I did the first time years ago, so I wasn't sure if you still needed to. So good to know. Let's see. What level are your grades currently? So Nicole, the math lady, is a good website. She does Saxon math, but she also has a test you can kind of see where your kids are in math, because wherever they are is where you want them to be. Just because they're 7th grade doesn't mean they're necessarily 7th grade math, and that's okay. Maybe we got to back up and catch them. That's what homeschooling is amazing. Maybe they're bored and you need to bump them on up to pre-algebra. I don't know. But that's the benefit of finding where they're at. So my 12-year-old said, I want to go take Algebra 1. I said, babe, we didn't finish 8-7. If you don't know Saxon, we didn't finish the pre-algebra textbook last year. I know he's in 6th grade. I wasn't stressing. So I'm like, I'll finish it this year. We're going to be fine. He's like, I want to go to Algebra 1. And I was like, show me you can do it. So he wants day 1 to be a pre-test so he can show me he's ready for Algebra 1, which means he's secretly doing math somewhere, because he's decided that's what he wants to prove to me. He's not in the 7th grade. And I'm like, prove it away, buddy, because he is that smart. But you'll learn those triggers. My oldest, here's a funny story. So I thought we should memorize the preamble, because I memorized it. I think it's great. And I walk into her room, and she's probably 14 at the time. And I was like, Riley, it was what I woke up thinking of that day for some reason. I was like, I think we should memorize the preamble. Oh my gosh, you're setting me up for failure. And she melts down the wall and is full of tears. And I'm like, what is happening? And so I was like, do you know what the preamble is? No. And I was like, babe. 15 minutes later, she's like, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice. I was like, and that sums up my homeschool life. I was just like, what? I mean, I was so baffled. And then I knew she could anyway. She kept me on my toes. But I was just like, what? So they can. And if you've decided the only one more stubborn than your kids needs to be you, but you also need to know how to pick your battles. Those are two, and you'll be learning that with them. So my oldest two tell me all the time, you would have never let me do that with my youngest three. And I'm like, I know. I just own it. Aren't you glad I'm learning to be a better mom? Aren't you glad I've chilled a little? I just own it, because it is different. And that's how it should be. We should be growing with them. We should be growing and learning. I've learned a lot about history because we decided to do a biblical history, a biblical worldview, and we read books about William Carey and Spurgeon, and we got to pick those topics in history, and I learned as much as they did, and now my littles will absolutely do that because we fell in love with that, and then we did some other things that we were like, probably won't do that one again because it just wasn't worth it, or it just didn't fit with us, and so if you have those multiple generations like we do, I just think that's a beautiful thing. So it's going to be great. Homeschool Louisiana does have, it's $79, but they have a 2-week course for brand new homeschoolers if you're interested. It's on their website. I've never actually watched it, but they are fantastic. It might have been a thing when I started. I just feel like I got a 6-year introductory course, and now I'm on the back 6 years of going, oh, I think I've about figured it out, and it's year 14. Every year is a little different because every kid's a little different because every experience is a little different, So don't pigeonhole yourself into one thing, but at the same time, I've restarted things too many times, so you got to stick with some things and just kind of finish. I have the QR codes for the web pages. I'll just leave it up here if you guys want to jump to Home Study or TOPS. Again, I just use TOPS for my guidance because I didn't want to miss anything because my job was to prepare them for the next level. But guys, learning, accountability and responsibility and time management and self-control and just being able to lead their own lives in a safe place where they're gonna fail, but they're failing with us and not after us, is absolutely worth it. Give them a 0 on a test. Let them deal. High school. We're not trying to make 5-year-olds cry, but let them see what it's like because learning how to get back up is huge, right? So I was going to go over TOPS real quick. TOPS is our state's funding for our scholarships for schools in Louisiana, if you're not familiar. So TOPS Tech is a 17. We used to have to make a 21, and by we I mean homeschoolers. But thanks to our legislators, they were now equal. So 17. 20 is the next one, 23, 27, and 31. And those scores are absolutely what the next level looks at for homeschoolers. You're going to have to write a transcript. In fact, Southeastern is very homeschool friendly. I sent in Riley's transcript. She emailed me back, we don't call it that. Can you relabel these classes this? Because she knew what I meant. I relabeled them. I sent it back in, but I sent in her ACT score, and they absolutely wanted her. So it does matter if they're going next level. Resources to help get you started. Easy peasy all-in-one homeschool. If you have elementary kids, it's fantastic. Maybe even, it's a K through 12 curriculum. It's mostly free. You can do it online or offline. It helps keep that, not accountability. It just kind of helps you guide through a lot. I found it very helpful, especially in the beginning. There's one called MIA Prep, MIA Prep. It's very student friendly. You get weekly emails in progress. I don't know the cost on that one. Yes.
What was the easy peasy one?
It's called Easy Peasy All-in-One Homeschool. Or you could probably put Easy Peasy Homeschool and it'll pop up. We've really enjoyed that one, especially for my littles. Khan Academy has online lessons, online tests, some free, some paid options. Most people think of it for math, but I think it does more than that. Yeah. Local co-ops, I 10 out of 10 recommend finding a group. If you just want the play fun, then that's out there where they just get together to do like cooking or science experiments or PE or something fun. Then there's the ones that have academics as well. That's the one I like, especially in high school. No, really, you teach them science. I'll teach them math, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of co-ops in our area: Ascension, Central, Denham, Watson, Baton Rouge, lots of those options. We're trying to get our list updated on the Chef website. If anybody wants to help me with that, I'll take the help. And then, of course, Chef, unbiased plug for our group. Our kids club does a lot of field trips to get-togethers. Middle school, high school, we have a sports beta club, high school honor society. This will be our second year for choir. I'm super excited. All your kids are getting introduced to her over there. If you have that age group, we do this convention once a year. And then if you guys weren't here last night, if you join Chef, you automatically become a member of Homeschool Louisiana. So you get a twofer. And who doesn't love a twofer? Homeschool Louisiana by itself is $50. We're just $65. So you're really getting a good deal for both. Any age, because our kids club and not this fall, but next fall, we're hoping to even have an elementary beta club. But kids club and field trips and such is all kids. And Suzette is here. There's tables. So when we're done here, we're close. When we're finished here, the vendor hall is open and all of Chef opportunities are there. So you can get more information. Hopefully somebody's standing behind the table and can answer your questions about kids club or choir or cheerleading or football or, all of our clubs are out there. So we are working hard to develop more for middle school and under because the number one question or statement we get, we're like, oh, we're not graduating and we don't play sports. And so they don't think Chef is of value. And we have worked 2 years, and I'll work as long as the Lord calls me to help grow what I call the other side of Chef. And so we hope to have an arts and academics festival that we can take the winners to state, because that's an option. We've just never done it. And that would be younger kids. I don't know. How old are your kids? Oh, perfect. Kids club, 10 out of 10. Oh, Suze, that's amazing. Kids Club has tripled in 1 year. She's done a fantastic job. She would come to me and she's like, Gretchen, can we change the K from kindergarten to kids? That was 2 years ago. And I was like, absolutely, makes sense to me. We got new stuff printed. She came back. Can we like once-a-month field trips? I was like, absolutely. Let me know. What if we do? And she just kept coming with ideas. And every time we could say yes, we said yes. And she took the ball and ran with it. And so anything like that you feel passionate about and you want to come to us, we are open to those conversations. I had a mom last night ask, do y'all have a foreign language club? And I was like, not yet. And I just waited. But she comes from teaching 3 different languages at a public school, and now she's homeschooling, and that's a gift she has to offer. So we talked a little bit more. How would that look? Well, how would that start? Well, I said it'd probably start really small because we would have to drag our kids over there, right? But I can't teach my kids a foreign language, right? We go to a co-op that does offer Spanish and sign language, but not everybody has that. So I think it would be an amazing thing. And then, so we would, as much as we can, come alongside those type of growth and ideas that fit our statement of faith and that fit our people and that benefit one another. It might start small. And if we like it, we'll keep it. And if we don't, we'll be like, oh, we tried. We tried bass fishing 1 year. He didn't really, could never get that one cranked up. And so I was like, but I wanted to drive the boat. It's okay. Just it either wasn't time or it wasn't meant. Either way, we tried, we're open to those things. But we, being the chef board, are about maxed out on the things that we can do, except come alongside and support you guys, which we live to do. So, yes.
Are there opportunities for scholarships through sports?
There are. We have had, and last year we had 3 football players go next level. 2 of them were scholarship. One of them just chose to go walk on and play. So that was an option. Our volleyball girls are kicking butt and taking names this year. I can't imagine one of them is not. We've had all state softball players pick their college, not D1, but like, they had opportunities for sure. So yeah, and we're working on developing that even more, especially with our football kids think they're going pro. Sure. So we're going to try to support that. Now we homeschool first and sports later. So I don't know why you homeschool, but yes.
Going off of the academics with tops,
Mhm.
A lot of academic moms, well, parents in general, don't know that NCAA also has
Yeah.
requirements,
That's true.
not just for D1. This is going all the way down to junior colleges.
Yeah.
Definitely something great to look into, especially if your kids are hitting that high school time frame, because it actually starts 9th grade. And like your transcripts have to say certain things for those scholarships to kick in as well.
Good point. Good point. We're developing that. We were really, really close to having like an athletics breakout session this year because we get a lot of those questions and we want to be able to answer them. Go ahead.
Really, because talent's hitting 9th grade this year.
Right.
I was like, oh, wait, we gotta start.
There's there, and then there's I think there's a high school portal. I don't know, there's a lot happening. Yeah. So we can chase that rabbit if we need to, for sure. Are there any other questions from you guys? I know that was kind of a lot, especially if you're new or still thinking. Yes.
Are there any stores or locations that have homeschool curriculum?
That's a great question. No, it's very sad. She asked if not in Baton Rouge. You're right.
Mardale and Lafayette has some. But
Yeah.
It's kind of a pick and choose what you want to do.
We should open that. Oh, let's talk later. Okay. No. So I did most of mine off of eBay. It does work because I don't need to have a brand new book. I just need a book. Workbooks you typically have to buy new, and that's harder, especially if you don't know if you're going to like it. So the used book sales that are around that parent, there was one in Central. There was one yesterday.
Also a lot of Facebook groups with these curriculum.
You're right. That's a good point.
If you're looking at one you're considering, they have ones, a group for each curriculum.
I was going to say, you'll also get a lot of opinions. Like, has anyone ever used Saxon Math? Heads up, because a lot of negative stuff is coming, and I'll tell you how great it is. So, you could absolutely, jump on there and let your friends tell you what they think. Or, because maybe I have an 8th grader struggling in math. What do you think? Versus, I've got a rock star who's not challenged. What do you think? And kind of gives the information you're comfortable giving for sure. But the community feedback would be great. But the used book sales are nice. Even if you're not trying to buy right away, I would encourage y'all to go and flip through them and take a look because it's coming. And then maybe, hey, when you're done with that, what do you think?
How do I know what my kindergartner is necessarily required to know?
There's a kindergarten checklist.
Okay.
Ask ChatGPT.
Okay.
I have a 6. I'm not kidding. They will break out your whole lesson plans. It's fantastic. Or Grok, or I don't know. There's so many AI things. But I did that when my youngers were, because I was like, oh, this one's not going anywhere. Now I have to teach them to read. Oh, gosh. It's okay.
So, is history required?
It's
Is it just math?
It's really called social studies.
Okay.
The younger they are,
It's less.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I don't want to give her something that is just not really.
we really,
struggle because she's what you
Yeah.
mentioned your daughter. She's gonna.
yeah.
And whenever you go to the state site too, it'll tell you these grades meet these 4 subjects.
Okay.
These grades meet these 4 subjects. So the higher they go,
Yeah.
by the time you get to high school, it's going to be, a full day.
Full-
Whereas kindergarten to
yeah.
2nd grade, I think it was 3 core days.
We did, because I had olders when I started homeschooling and they could all read. When my youngers came along, I knew I had time. So when you're starting, you feel like you have to knock it all out year 1. You don't. My, how old is he? How old is Sam? 8, 7? I don't know, somewhere in there. I don't even know. I think he thinks he's in the 2nd grade. Sure. I didn't test him for that. That's just, he's right behind his brothers. but I knew I had time with them, so I wasn't stressed. And so I think he's had the most fun learning because I'm like, oh, pick a book. And I'm like, okay, read me a couple of words in the beginning. Or are we still at the we read together stage, and we do summer reading with our library every summer. And the kids love the prizes and I love the reading. And Sam's not my reader. But we also can't go get his older brother's stuff until everybody finishes. So my older one's like, can I read to him? Does that count? Can we get this done? And so you'll find your ways. But you have time. So when you find a checklist, it's a guide, not a requirement. It genuinely, they're gonna learn. They're gonna learn. Nobody went to college still wearing a diaper. Like they're gonna learn. And the pressure that our society puts on us, and these people that walk around, they're like, "Oh, you're homeschooled, huh? Who was the first president?" And I'm like, "That's the only one you know. Stop asking them those questions." I'm just like, okay, and I let my kids handle it. Because they'll be like, I don't know, nor do they care. And they run off and play. We've created, not we, but like society has created these expectations. You know what? You know what my kids can do? They can tell you all the fruits of the spirit. They can tell you the 10 commandments. They can tell, do you know those, mister? I don't, so like we have to unschool ourselves just a little bit. Go back to your why. Why do you pull your kids? Or why are you not letting them go? Right? You're going to need that on a Tuesday when you're questioning all your life choices, because you're going to. And you're going to go back to God's called us to do this. I love my children more than anybody else could. And we'll do math tomorrow and it'll be fine. Okay? And that's okay. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Find you some ice water or maybe another cup of coffee. Maybe today, everybody reads in their room for an hour because mama needs a minute. I'm not kidding. Like whatever those things are matter and they help and it's okay. They're going to learn. But if they learn how to learn, you're winning. If they can critically think, you're winning. You can give them any book you want to by the time they're in middle school and they'll be able to tackle it because they don't feel the pressure to answer all the right questions. They feel the freedom to learn. And if we've given them that, they can do whatever they want, including dropping out. But that's okay. That was my oldest. She was like, this is not for me. And that's okay. That's a great question there. Anything else? Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes.
I come from a background of 28 years of teaching in the public school system. I've taught kids from multiple ages. And for start off kindergarten, my advice to you is make sure they get a foundation for the love of reading and the love of numbers. Because when they have that love, they're going to take it, they're going to run with it. Don't focus so much on history and science.
Yeah.
You can do cooking with them and do science.
I'm telling you.
Different little things with them.
Pull up the library.
We have raised 5 children, but only they're married. We adopted 3.
Oh.
And our twins will be in first grade, and our little boy will be in 7th grade. Little boy went to public school, the twins don't know public school. And I find that their interest in learning is so different from his interest of learning because he was put in a box.
Right.
He was put in a cookie cutter class that didn't fit him. They're able to learn the way they learn. He is not. And that's what's most important because I saw so many kids in the public school that were put in that cookie cutter class and not allowed to learn.
Right.
You got hands-on kids that's made to sit in the classroom all day long and not do anything. That's not what we're here for.
So good. Precious, did you have something?
So my homeschool journey actually started with my younger one, and we started with her. We have 2 13-year-olds, so they went to public school all the way up to we were in 7th grade. And mid 7th grade year, we pulled them out. So last year was our first year homeschooling them, and now we'll be in 8th grade homeschooling. And they have this idea that they're going to be going back to public school for high school. And ultimately, I know it's our decision, but I want to give them the choice. What things would you suggest or things that we can do to kind of persuade the homeschool route more? Like we enrolled them in the sports. That was the thing. They were like, we won't talk to people. We got
Mhm.
into chef. We signed up for a co-op. I'm just trying to make sure I set this year up
Mhm.
to where it's like, oh no, we don't have to go to
Yeah.
high school to the public school.
Right. I think those are all great steps.
Okay.
Either way, they're going to have assignments they have to complete. They can do that by noon or they can be in a classroom all day, and if they're missing the friends, the co-op's going to help with that a lot. And that'll give them youth group at church helps a lot. We go to ours twice a week. So when mine misses youth, he wants to go. That is his socialization, in addition to co-op and sports. But he loves his youth group. And so he gets mad when we miss. He's like, excuse me, time out. When do we go? Now we go to church all the time, but that can be another place of positive reinforcement for their age groups as well. But the only other thing I might add to that is like one of mine thinks he wants to be a pilot. So in our off time, if we could go explore what he's interested in, we wouldn't be able to do that if he was in school all the time, right? So if you can find the kind of their where they think they want to go, maybe it's hair and nails. Okay, well, we have plenty of graduates that went that route. Maybe we could, look into doing something with that hobby or that. Just dive into them just a little bit more. And not that we have any extra time or money to do those things, but if you can find a way to connect with them, just to, and then they think the grass is greener and it's not, and it's okay, and so I would really encourage, while you want to do the best to help them enjoy the journey, I would strongly advise prayer and consideration of just holding fast to them being home, and they'll be okay. They will. So yes.
So, give you a little history of mine. Matter of fact, a couple weeks ago, I texted Gretchen. I was like, thank God for Chef. Thank God for this family because our first year homeschooling was 2 years ago because it was right before we had found y'all last year.
Mm-hmm.
My kids hated it. Now, they came from public school, from high school level all the way down to my first one started first grade homeschool. When are we going back? I want my friends back. I miss seeing everybody. I miss this. I miss that. And keep in mind, we went to school we went to church every Sunday, so they had Sunday school. My kids were in youth, but my three younger ones wasn't old enough for youth yet, so they only had Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know about co-ops. Mom did everything. We didn't leave the house. Mom went to work. Y'all stayed home. Y'all stayed with big sister. Y'all played with the neighborhood kids whenever they came home. There was no field trips. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Like, we were just isolated. We found Chef. We did K Club. We did sports. We did the kids are in youth and church. And now my mom's like, do y'all want to go back to public school? Because she knew the misery they had. And tell her, we are never, never going back. My oldest just graduated this year. I have one going into high school. I get that round again. I have one fixing to graduate 8th grade, and then now we have a 3rd grader. And they're like, when's our next field trip? Why we don't have field trips over the summer? I'm like, because everybody needs a break. We have gone on enough trips. But it was just, they had so much encounters with everybody between sports, between honor society, between beta, between field trips.
Yeah.
And then they made friends to where, oh, well, this friend lives, like we found out, we thought we were isolated in Zachary for a while. We just found 3 homeschool families in Zachary between sports and K Club.
Right.
And they all have friends.
That's great.
So it's a very big family, and that's what I told them. I was like, thank God for y'all.
Yeah.
This community has been a blessing for homeschool kids.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that too. So yeah, we're trying to offer enough, but you can't pick too much. Where they're like, no, really, I haven't done my math today. You're like, okay, try again tomorrow because we gotta go get in the car. So you can't do too much. Don't and you may swing that way for a minute until it kind of settles, and that's okay. You'll have seasons of all of that too. I don't skip reading and I don't skip math. The rest we get when we can get. So. you know, to each their own for that there. But just, you're doing good. You're putting your family first, your kids first. And I would encourage you to put the Lord very first in all of that. And then and the rest will work out. Any other questions? Oh, he's fine. Well, thank y'all so much for coming.